just to give you a bit of background on me, I work with Kevin at the RCA. I've been a technician there for about 13 years. I started off with just an interest in sort of 2D graphics and audio, and developed into working with 3D modeling software the last 6 or 7 years, maybe. Traditionally a 3D Studio Max user and then a Rhino user, and I've made the switch to Blender around about December last year. So I'm a very new user. Only used it for version 2.8, and it's been fantastic for me. Utterly frustrated with the way 3D Studio Max worked. Having used it for such a long period of time, I was unable to do so many basic things, and because part of my job is teaching students software, I found it incredibly difficult to teach. So since then, I've kind of switched to Blender. I've done some classes along with Kevin, showing students how to use it, and it's been incredibly intuitive for me. And I'm just amazed at some of the features that are available, and the fact that as far as licensing goes for us, it's incredibly easy to install. Very small installation process. We can add the add-ons that we want per lesson, and we have it connected to our render farm now for rendering as well. So I'm finding myself rendering student jobs. I did listen to some of the talks earlier. People were talking about Blender in commercial, in the industry and commercial use. A lot of our students are asking us what software is appropriate for them to use once they graduate. And I've worked in a variety of projects with the students, including games, architecture, interior design, using Blender. And they're like, is this any use to me after I graduate? Everyone's asking for different software. I'm hoping to see in the future more use of Blender in the industry, and sort of moving it out of the hobbyist realm into the professional realm. And I don't differentiate with any 3D software really now at college. But as far as we're concerned with Blender, we've had some problems with COVID with licensing software and licenses running out, and this has been incredibly easy to install and install remotely on some of our machines and update without having to contact vendors and ask for upgrades on licenses or extensions on licenses, and having to go through our license server or anything like that. So it's been utterly fantastic. Anyway, enough of the boring stuff. I'll show you some of the basic projects that I've worked on myself and I've helped the students out with. I'm going to do a quick share screen, and you guys tell me if it's working. Can you see my screen?
I can see your full desktop.
You can see my full desktop. That's great.
The desktop, yeah.
So really, it is down to me talking about Unreal Engine, and I'm sure most of you on the panel here would know what Unreal Engine is, but for the ones that don't, Unreal Engine is a free software that's used for making games, and not solely limited to games. We've used it for architectural visualizations. We've used it for rendering 360-degree film. We've used it for product configuration. It's got plenty of uses, and the avid gamers will notice it that it's made by Epic Games, and they also have their own store now for downloading games. But certainly in our workflow with our students that we're supporting, it's been used architecturally as well to do sort of push architecture into the real-time realm, and it's in animation workflows as well. We've avoided having to do things like lengthy rendering, because you can effectively bake the lights in the scene, and you can sort of do everything in real time, which is becoming increasingly useful and resource efficient. And one of the ways Blender fits into it is that recently, I believe Unreal gave Blender a grant, and this is actually what got me started into Blender, because I've been an Unreal user for several years. And the idea being that they could develop a plugin which could help with exporting Blender geometry straight into Unreal and maintain things like materials, UVs, collisions, stuff like that. As of yet, they're still in development of that plugin, I believe, but there's going to be an announcement on the 14th at Blender, at the Unreal event, where they will hopefully announce some updated features on this. What I'm probably going to demonstrate here is just the Datasmith plugin and what that does within Blender. I'm sure some of you are going to be aware of this, so I'll try to make it relatively basic. What I've just prepared before this lesson really is this maze, which is from this fantastic plugin by somebody called Elfnor, which you download from the GitHub, and then you can enable in the add-ons in Blender here. And it's effectively, it's called Maze Any Mesh, where you can turn anything into a maze. So I've just got a basic plane here that I've subdivided, and it's just popped out a maze here. I went ahead and separated some of the materials to the walls, the top walls, and just a base plane there. And if I just turn on the real-time render here, you should see I've also used a fantastic Blender kit here, which I use some of my students, which is again an add-on which you can find a variety of materials here and just apply them straight into your scene, some of which are free and some of which are extremely affordable, and people can contribute to in the community as well. And it gives you some sort of architectural, I'll turn on the, oh, where are they? I've disappeared. Excuse me, technical issues. Yeah, so what it allows you to do is just get an idea of some basic architectural materials. And I'm hoping with the Datasmith plugin enabled, we should just be able to export the scene directly into Unreal Engine via export Datasmith here. If I bounce over to Unreal Engine here and in true Blue Peter style, get one that I made earlier, we should be able to import the scene directly into Unreal. Let's see. I should have had this open already, but let's have a look and see. And the idea being that we can get all of these materials, we can get the UV maps that we've created in Blender and the geometry, obviously, and have it all scaled and in the correct positions. And what we can see here is basically that maze that I've imported via here, the Datasmith import, which is its own file format, which shares geometry between a bunch of 3D packages straight into Unreal Engine. And if I just tap the play button here, excuse that horrible gun noise, I've built in some collisions here, and I've got an instant sort of maze here for a bit of fun. I've got a coffee cup here, which makes me run a little bit faster, and a mushroom, which makes me able to jump a lot higher here and bounce into the various parts of this maze. So all that is basically just a very, very quick import from Blender into Unreal, some collisions, nothing more than about an hour's worth of work, and very, very smooth compatibility between the two applications. On another project that I've demonstrated to my students, sorry, I closed out of everything there, I will show you, it's sort of at some of the other uses that I've used Blender for with Unreal Engine. Let's pop in here and have a look at our. So this one here is another example of just a circular geometry here, which has been extruded out, and the normals facing the correct direction, which was done in Blender, and the UV mapping as well, which is done within this application, and excuse me, bounced into Unreal again, and we can see this wonderful simulation where we hit our Prime Minister with a shoe. It's a lot of fun. I'll show you where Blender came into this really. So this couldn't have taken any more than about 5 minutes to set up this geometry in the background. And in terms of poor Boris himself, the model is here, and some of the modifiers here that would have been used is things like Decimate, which would have made more low polygon versions of Boris for use within the game map that we're going to see here. So you can see. So this is just the sort of game design area here. And one of the things that we can do with Blender is obviously create things like LODs, which I'm hoping that the plugin is going to incorporate automatically. But you can make different decimated versions of Boris, which is useful for whenever you're rendering multiple characters on screen at the same time, being able to do things a little bit more efficiently. Let's see what other things I can show you here. And with this particular project, there was a little bit of actual, let's see, let me load this up. This was actually played back on a arcade box itself, which I've cut out and CNC'd, which I can demonstrate to you here. So the actual game itself was played on an arcade box, which was designed also in Blender and cut in Valchromat, oiled and assembled together like so, and played with these old-fashioned joysticks. I would like to elaborate on this project a little bit more, but as you can see, I'm utterly unprepared and I'm rapidly running out of time. But I would surely like to answer some questions if anyone's interested in this kind of thing. And I couldn't reiterate enough how useful Blender has been in my own personal work and in the work that I'm teaching the students, including what we've had to work on this year because everything's gone virtual with our colleges, gallery visualizations and rendering stuff out in EV and cycles and positioning virtual artworks and stuff in gallery spaces and using lighting HDRI, and it's incredibly easy with that software, and also again bringing it into real time and being able to play it in Unreal and exporting from multiple formats. We've done HTML5 exports where you can play on a web browser, you can export to mobile platform, you can play on a mobile device. We've rendered out 360-degree movies which have been uploaded onto YouTube. So the sort of, with the project beginning in Blender, the export potential from games engines like Unreal now are incredible. You can really take it out of the gaming realm and start to think about it in other multimedia applications. And I'm hoping that the bridge between these applications is only going to develop and get stronger. And we will continue to teach it and support it as much as we can, because it's making our life a lot easier, both as educators and as technical support guys who have to sometimes install this software and troubleshoot it. So I will stop there because I'm 1 minute over. I probably should have given myself a bit more time and been a bit organized. But thank you for listening. And I hope some of you found it interesting.